Georges Rush St. Pierre dominated his division for years. He was skilled in every aspect of MMA, and absolutely masterful at wrestling. GSP used his superior strength and superb sense of balance to rush his opponents, then slam them to the ground. He would then pass their guard and rain down a relentless torrent of punches, elbows, and knees. Those brave enough to try and out-wrestle him failed time and time again. Once down, it was usually impossible for an opponent to get back up. But even more than GSP's wrestling, his greatest strength was his multi-layered strategy. Every weapon in his arsenal was part of a larger, coherent system. A system designed to take his opponents to the ground and finish them. GSP primarily set up his takedowns with the use of his jab. Establishing a strong jab and then using it as a feint to set up a single or double leg is a well-established technique in MMA. Bruce Lee even had a sketch of it in his book before MMA was ever a thing. To this purpose, GSP worked hard on developing his lead hand, even going to one of boxing's greatest coaches, Freddie Roach. So it stands to reason that his jab was tailor-made for his style of fighting. It had a built-in level change and seamlessly blended into his penetration step. This meant that he could feint a takedown to set up his jab, and feint a jab to set up his takedown. But to get opponents to overreact to his feints, they would first need to fear his stand-up just as much as his ground and pound. That's a hard sell, especially because GSP didn't have an incredibly powerful cross to threaten as a follow-up. This is where the Superman punch came in. Thrown with his backhand, it gave opponents a powerful blow to fear off of his jab. Thrown with his front hand, it made competitors wary of the jab itself. Because GSP was constantly pumping his lead hand, it was hard for competitors to tell if a stinging jab or a staggering Superman punch was coming. To add yet another layer of unpredictability, GSP's lead leg kicks looked similar to the footwork setup for his Superman punch. And to add yet another layer, GSP's kicks began with a hand feint. This meant that GSP was using a strike, disguised as a strike, disguised as another strike. What's more, his Superman punch allowed for a variety of creative shifting combinations, which other fighters would later build upon. As effective as his multi-layered feints were, any technique can become predictable if overused. And Barbosa famously hammered this point home years ago when his opponent tried a jab feint takedown one too many times. That's why GSP had the most success with his reactive takedowns. The same way that great strikers can increase the power of their punch by catching their opponent as they come in, GSP could use his opponent's momentum against them to take them down mid-strike. And the same way that some fighters like Tyson were aggressive counterpunchers, GSP was an aggressive counter-wrestler, using his constant jabs and kicks to pressure his opponents, and baiting them into letting their hands go before ducking under their punch and taking them down. He would often parry his competitor's counter as he changed levels. Just like a lot of wrestling setups, this cleared their arm and shoulder out of the way while disturbing their balance. Of course, these intercepting takedowns worked even better with kicks, and even better when combined with the punch. GSP was excellent at reading his opponents and picking up on recurring patterns to intercept. Here Matt Hughes repeatedly attempts to knee GSP from the clinch, so GSP times him and snatches up his leg mid-strike. GSP was truly one of the first modern mixed martial artists, and a big reason the sport has evolved to the point it has. It's no longer different styles competing against each other, but people using integrated systems to best express their own style. GSP both evolved the sport and paved the way for other fighters to build upon his success. He's a true martial artist, and his impact will be felt, and his legacy discussed, for generations. If you'd like to learn more, you can check out my books on footwork, defense, and power. From The Modern Martial Artist, this has been David Christian, wishing you happy training.